And worse. If I did fight back, things would only get worse. When Julia wanted a car for her birthday, they bought her one immediately. But I had to take the bus or walk everywhere I needed to go. At home, my aunt made me do all the chores, while Julia spent the entire day watching TikTok. I was the one cooking and cleaning while she did nothing. I remember one time when my aunt refused to take me to the doctor, insisting that I was being dramatic, even though I was seriously ill. As a result, I ended up missing school for 2 days. I used to believe that family was supposed to love and support you, that no matter what happened, they would always have your back. I don't believe that anymore. Not after what my cousin Julia did to me. It truly was an unforgivable thing. We weren't just cousins. We were raised as sisters. After my parents died in a car accident when I was 5, my aunt and uncle took me in. Julia, their only daughter, was 2 years older than me. From the moment I moved into their house, she made it clear that I didn't belong. On the surface, Julia was perfect. She was beautiful, charming, and talented. Everyone adored her, teachers, neighbors, especially my aunt and uncle. Meanwhile, I was just the orphan, the extra mouth to feed. I quickly learned that my place in the family was to stay quiet and out of the way. In the beginning, the way that Julia and my aunt and uncle would treat me was annoying, but it wouldn't remain that way for long. She would take my things, clothes, books, even the little jewelry I had that belonged to my mother. If I ever complained, she would pout, and my aunt would tell me I was being selfish. But I had so few things to begin with, and she had much more than I did. If anything, for every shirt I had, she had 8. For every piece of jewelry I had, she had 10. Even as children, I knew that it was just a power move. She didn't actually need to borrow my stuff, but she knew that it bothered me.
Fran, you should share with Julia. You're lucky to have a home here. The least you can do is be generous. Or did those parents of yours raise a selfish little brat?
I'm not being selfish. It's just that whatever she borrows, she doesn't give it back. And I have so little to begin with.
That isn't true. She's lying.
Fran, how dare you say such nasty things to your cousin? You should be ashamed.
Julia, of course, was never expected to be generous in return. I would beg her to borrow clothes since I had so few, and she would tell me off. I constantly had to wash my clothes in bathroom sink so that I would have clean clothes since I had so few. As we got older, her cruelty became more calculated. At school, Julia spread rumors about me. It was so bad that it turned the entire school against me. I never felt so alone and hopeless.
Fran is obsessed with me. She copies my clothes, my hair, everything. It's kind of creepy.
What a complete loser. Why did your family take her in?
I don't know why. And the worst thing is that she is a massive thief. She constantly steals from my parents. That, and she does drugs too.
She's the absolute worst. It didn't matter that everything that she said was a lie. People believed her. And I really didn't know that she was the one that was spreading the rumors until much later. I just thought that everyone in our school naturally hated me. But it got so much worse when she found my diary and read it out loud at a party she threw when our parents were away. She had gathered a crowd and mocked my every word, exaggerating things to make me look pathetic.
Oh, listen to this, guys. I wish someone would notice me the way people notice Julia. She's so lucky.
Well, you are lucky that you aren't her. Although being related to her is almost just as bad.
Oh, and she has a crush on Tommy. As if someone as ugly as her could ever hope to date Tommy.
Everyone laughed. I ran to my room, humiliated, while Julia basked in the attention, reading to all her guests my most intimate details. It was such a horrific violation, but I couldn't stop her and no one cared if my feelings were being hurt. Then there was my 16th birthday. I didn't expect much. I had learned by then that Julia's birthday was the only one that mattered, but I had hoped for at least a small celebration. The morning of my birthday, Julia told me my aunt and uncle had planned a surprise party for me at the park. I was genuinely shocked that they would do anything special for me, but she sold it really well, and by the time that she told me all about the event, I was convinced. Excited, I went there, only to find nothing. I wish that I could say that I wasn't devastated, but I was. I knew that I shouldn't get my hopes up, but I had hoped that for once that my family would actually treat me like family, and they once again showed me cruelty. I waited for an hour before I realized Julia had lied. When I got home, she was laughing about it with her friends.
Oh my God, you actually went. That's so embarrassing. As if we would hold a celebration for you. Even your parents knew you were a loser. They died just so they could get away from you.
I wanted to scream, to fight back, but I knew no one would believe me, and worse. If I did fight back, things would only get worse. When Julia wanted a car for her birthday, they bought her one immediately, but I had to take the bus or walk everywhere I needed to go. At home, my aunt made me do all the chores, while Julia spent the entire day watching TikTok. I was the one cooking and cleaning while she did nothing. I remember one time when my aunt refused to take me to the doctor, insisting that I was being dramatic, even though I was seriously ill. As a result, I ended up missing school for 2 days. By the time we were in our 20s, I had done everything I could to escape her. I worked hard, got my own tiny apartment, and built a small group of friends who knew me as me, not Julia's cousin. Julia, meanwhile, had become entitled and reckless. She partied constantly, racked up massive credit card debt, and treated people like stepping stones. Then, one day she showed up at my apartment, acting unusually nice.
Hey, Fran. It's been such a long time since we've hung out.
What are you talking about? We've never hung out.
Of course we have, but hey, listen. Since I'm here, I need your help. I'm in a little bit of a financial bind. I was hoping you could loan me some money.
You're kidding, right? Julia, you've never worked a day in your life, so you have no idea how hard it is to make money. So why would I loan you money?
Wow, so much for family loyalty.
You can't be serious. How about this for family loyalty? I slammed the door in her face. That was very satisfying, but it was a big mistake. A week later, police officers showed up at my job. At first, I wasn't nervous as I never break the law. I began to get concerned. But once they started asking me difficult questions...
Fran Carter?
Yes, that's my name.
You're under arrest for credit card fraud and identity theft.
What? That's impossible. I didn't do anything.
Just come with us. We'll sort this all out at the station.
I knew that I was innocent, but they didn't care. They had proof. At the station, they showed me bank statements, credit card applications, and even security footage of someone who looked exactly like me withdrawing money from an ATM. I instantly knew that it was Julia. But I didn't know how to convince them of it. She had stolen my identity. I tried to explain, but no one listened. To make things worse, when the police contacted my aunt and uncle, they backed Julia up.
Fran has always been troubled. She's always been jealous of Julia. It's really sad, actually.
I was thrown in jail overnight, humiliated and terrified. But I wasn't alone. Caleb, my best friend, bailed me out the next morning. He had already been working on proving my innocence once he heard what had happened to me. Like me, he knew that I was being set up, and he set out to help me prove my innocence. He found security footage from a gas station near Julia's favorite club, showing her using one of the stolen credit cards. With the help of a private investigator, he tracked bank records proving that money had been transferred from my account to hers, and that she had taken out dozens of credit cards in my name and had forged my signature in order to get them. And most importantly, he had a recording. 2 weeks earlier, Julia had drunkenly bragged to a mutual acquaintance about her plan. I couldn't believe how much evidence he was able to gather.
Fran's such an easy target. She's so boring and responsible. No one would ever suspect her.
Oh my God, Julia, you're such a nasty bitch. That's such a great plan, and it's hilarious. Caleb took everything to the police. Within days, Julia was arrested. She tried to lie her way out of it, but this time, there was too much evidence. She was sentenced to 13 years in prison. But that wasn't enough for me. Julia had spent years ruining my life. It was time to return the favor. I made sure everyone knew what she had done. I posted everything on social media, every piece of evidence, every lie she had told. People from our past, old classmates, distant relatives, started commenting, sharing their own stories of Julia's manipulations. Her reputation was in shambles, but I wasn't done. Julia had always cared about appearances. She had been planning to marry into a wealthy family, the kind of people who didn't tolerate scandal. So I made sure to tell her rich fiancé and his entire family everything that she had done. When they found out, their reaction was catastrophic. Her fiancé dumped her and his entire family cut all ties. I was able to find a lawyer that represented me in suing Julia. She had, after all, committed fraud in my name and had gotten me arrested, and I assumed that it should cost her something. Luckily, a judge agreed, and he awarded me $30,000, which allowed me to pay off some debt while also going on a well-deserved vacation. When she got out of prison, she had nothing. No friends, no money. My aunt and uncle, once her biggest offenders, were too embarrassed to take her back in, and even they ostracized her. They didn't have it easy from the public either. When people found out they had always supported Julia, they were attacked on social media, and their house was even vandalized. Eventually, they had to flee to a different state. To avenge myself, when I found out Julia was trying to get a job, I set her up with a fake job interview in a faraway state, promising a huge salary and amazing benefits. She was thrilled and immediately booked a flight. But when she arrived at the address, her excitement turned to horror. The company headquarters was nothing more than an abandoned warehouse. Thanks for watching.